The voice of Husker Nation is on the air. This is Hail Varsity Radio. Insight, opinion, expertise, along with the biggest names talking Nebraska sports. Join in with the show at 402-489-1240 or 1-800-825-5865. Now, here are your hosts, Chris Schmidt and Elijah Herbel.
Welcome to it. It's a Roadshow Friday, Hail Varsity Radio, here at the Hail Varsity Club in La Vista. Chris Schmidt, Elijah Herbel, Connor Clark still chained to the studio. Numbers to get in today at 489-1240, 489-1240, or 800-825-5865. Can email the show, Chris at hailvarsity.com. Lot to get to as it is the spring game tomorrow. And we are hunkered down here at the Hail Varsity Club in La Vista. Super awesome event going on tonight, 6 to 9. Here at the Hail Varsity Club, the pipeline event. That is Stye, that is Zadiska, that is Wilkes, that is Graham, that is Wiegert, all on stage. The event sold out, and it is going to be a memorable night for a ton of Nebraska fans that have been able to get their seats. I'm staring out at the tables, and they are – it's all sorts of reserved, baby. I mean, it is really, really awesome. The great folks from Pipeline Jerky are here, the OG Pipeline, and, of course, Husk guys on Twitter. So going to be a celebratory night tonight here at the Hail Varsity Club with the standard for the Nebraska offensive line on hand. Cocktail situation going on at 6, and then the event gets going. So I'm sure there'll be some posts and some social media following the event, but, just one of many big-time events that happen at the Hail Varsity Club, and what a setting for it. Really awesome to see Coach Solich a bit earlier. His press conference, we'll have some of that for you in just a little bit. Let's get you the guest lineup. Jacob Padilla going to join us and spend a few minutes talking Hunter Salas, Nebraska spring session, and maybe a touch of NBA. Bill Doleman with us, the pride of Fairbury, NBC Sports in 1 hour. Brady Oltmans, what a visit list for Coach Rule and company tomorrow. Well, quite frankly, just this entire weekend. So Brady will talk some recruiting and some football. And then how about some gambling? Let's talk some gambling with our friends from Vista Sports Network. Danny Burke will give you some NHL and NBA. That'd be really cool if you could get the crystal ball out for some NFL right now. If we had NFL, NHL, and yes, NBA. So little backstory as we were getting set up. We're checking in, making sure everything's tidy and tight with Connor back in the studio. And Connor's like, guys, Cubs have a perfect game going. Cubs have a perfect game going. And I kind of turned to Elijah. I was like, well, Connor, we're getting to watch it right now at the Hail Varsity Club.
And before that even came out of your mouth,
there was two Cubs that collided.
It was a bunt down the third base line. The catcher and the pitcher both went for it.
Sorry.
Collided together. It's a single. It breaks up literally as soon as we talked about it. We absolutely cursed the Cubs. They've done enough cursing of their own, but we cursed them today, Connor.
I absolutely hate the fact that Jan Gomes tackling Drew Smiley is going to overshadow the fact that the Cubs won 13-0 today. I hate it.
Well, what could have been? I mean, that's the exclamation point. Not only is it a 13-rip win for your Cubbies, but it is a situation where it could have been all more glorious with that no-hitter. You mentioned curses. Let's get that out of the way.
Good transition.
With Frank Solich, because he was asked about it by one media member today. Frank Solich in Lincoln, been here since Wednesday, and Coach addressed the dreaded curse. There'll be more from Coach Solich we'll get to in a moment, but it was awesome to hear from Fearless Frankie earlier today. Curse, be gone.
It's not a curse that's been put on by any of my family members, that I know, or else there would be a few more people in trouble, But no, we got nothing to do with curses, and so that if there's a curse here, it's not because of us, and let's just say it's gone now if there has ever been one. Okay.
And he did the safe at home movement with his hands during the press conference. Hail Varsity Twitter has the full video clip up there if you want to check that out and give Hail Varsity a follow. But guys, lots talked about here with Coach Solich's return, the celebration. Trev is going to go big with this. Not only is Frank going to be honored and celebrated, it'd be really cool because he has absolutely earned it on the field as a player and coach to have his name etched on North Stadium. Maybe that is part. I'm just guessing. I have no insight to that, but Trev always likes to kind of go big here with these moments when it comes to hiring a coach or sticking with a coach. And right now, at spring football and what we see tomorrow is on our mind, but it's also a big day for Coach Solich and a lot of Nebraska fans.
Well, just think about how unique it is, the fact that Nebraska is bringing back a coach that was fired 20 years ago, back for a press conference, back to be honored. That's rare in the world of college football, that you're bringing back a coach that has been fired and has been becoming a legend at a different school. You bring him back after his retirement to honor him. Let's take a second just to appreciate the uniqueness of that, and the uniqueness of Nebraska and being able to do that, because you don't get that many other places in the country, especially from a coach that I know he has Nebraska's last conference championship, but didn't go win any national championships. I mean, at the time he's not living up to the legacy of Tom Osborne. So
good luck.
The way that the fan sentiment has changed in Nebraska and the way that we were able to bring him back is just incredible in its own right. And I mean, I think any additional honors on that would be a cherry on top. Maybe Frank Solich gets the new football facility named after him. I know there's been a lot of generous donations in there and a lot of donors who probably deserve to have their name up on that facility. But Frank Solich, for his efforts for the University of Nebraska, could he deserve to be the naming on that new training complex? Is it going to be the Solich training facility? I don't know, but I'm kind of with you in this, in that the way that Trev Alberts is going about honoring Frank Solich and bringing him back to university. I wonder if he's got a trick up his sleeve to get Frank some honoring on Saturday.
Well, as an out-of-state guy, too, just kind of the point of view for me is I think this is like one of the coolest college football things that I've really seen in a while, because as you said, Elijah, this is a very unique situation where you bring a guy that was fired, many people think wrongfully, 20 years ago, and you bring him back. You have a press conference for the spring game. He's going to be honored there. I mean, this is a whole event, and it's making, obviously, this weekend's big because you got the new coaching staff and you got a bunch of new players. You want to see them play. They're going to play an actual game. But then you add this on top of it, and the situation is so, I guess, rare to come by in college football or in sports anywhere, to have a guy like Frank Solich, and also to hear his point of view of what that 20-year period of his life was like, obviously coaching at Ohio, but how he was able to, try and stay in touch with Nebraska, how his feelings towards Nebraska fluctuated throughout that time as well. I think it's extremely fascinating, and it's really awesome that Trev Alberts was able to pull this off and that he's back in Nebraska. I know it's making a lot of people happy.
I mean, this weekend feels like an atonement of sins of 20 years ago.
If they can tackle and block and there's 4.5 a carry, that's part of the atonement.
Well, if you need some tackling, just call the Chicago Cubs.
Right. If there's physicality, if there's speed on defense, if there's an option play, Frank touched on that, maybe spilled the beans a little bit with, well, Rule was talking to me about the belly option, maybe putting it in part of the op. And I was smiling. I was off to the side of the presser smiling. I love watching option football. Let's hear from Frank a little bit further as why it was the right time. I don't know what you speak of, other Elijah, in the stream. There we go. The mustache needs some atonement for one Elijah. You got to trim that a little bit.
You think?
On the side, or unless you're really trying to go Raleigh fingers with that.
I can curl it. It's curlable. I don't think I'm going to. I've only been made fun of whenever I've curled it, so I don't think that's the look. And some people do compliment me on a normal mustache that I have. So, yeah. Okay, some trimming could be done. I umpire tomorrow.
I would say your compliment to hate ratio is probably 4-1 in the stream.
In the stream, yes. Okay. Just in general life, it may be more 1-1. But...
Okay. Back to Frank Solich, who doesn't have a mustache, but looked closer to 70 than 80. Cut one here, Connor.
Well, I just felt comfortable with it right now. Coach Rule, I know when he got to town, he got a hold of Coach Osborne. He texted me some. We texted back and forth. We talked on the phone maybe once, maybe twice, and that wasn't happening before. And so I just felt welcomed in that manner, and knew that it would be good to get back and be a part of what Nebraska's all about. And so I looked forward to it, and I'm glad I'm here.
Good for Frank, bigger man than me, than many, as far as going back to a place that maybe didn't treat you the way you needed to be treated or deserved to be treated. And to be honest, I think there's been a lot of reflection for Nebraska fans the last 2 decades where you've been waiting for that right answer. And it feels, you hope, but you don't know yet, that Matt Rule is the right answer, but you're on to the next question, unfortunately, for Nebraska, because you've been through so many of these situations. And was it Osborne-esque? No, not quite, but that speaks to his greatness for 25 years. What did happen was 9 or 10 ball games a year you'd win. You took care of Colorado most of the time. You have the only win against Texas, okay, which was big. You had a team that was national championship good in '99, and so you eked into a national title game in 01. And listen, I guess while we're revising history, let's send Colorado or Oregon to go play that 01 Miami team, right? You go have fun. You have fun with the Canes and their first and second team NFL roster. A little bit more from Coach Solich here. He shared some thoughts on Coach Rule, cut 4, as that was also a talking point today from Coach Solich, just what he thinks of Coach Rule. And Frank's super respectful, and former coaches are that way. They don't like someone staring over their shoulder. They're the last folks that want to stare over the new guy's shoulder. But Nebraska fans are interested in how that relationship is with Rule and with Frank.
Yeah, he was at Temple, and when I was at Ohio, we played Temple a few times. I think it was twice, maybe 3. I know we beat him twice, but I think it was we may have played him 3 times. And he was, I believe, the offensive coordinator at that time, and you get a chance to meet him after a game, and you see how they perform offensively and defensively, and so you get to know a little bit about their coaching style and the kind of offenses and defenses that the opposing teams run. But I've been impressed with him no matter where he's been. He's been able to get the job done at a very high level, and certainly in college.
So that was Frank Solich, his connection and facing Matt Rule. And we'll have some thoughts on the spring game. We'll dive into it full bore. Reminder, tomorrow we are also at the Single Barrel in front of the spring game, 11-1, 9th and P. So we invite you down there as part of your pregame for Nebraska v. Nebraska, 11-1, down at the Single Barrel inside the Graduate. We're here at the Hail Varsity Club, the pipeline event going on. That was been in the works, and it is sold out here at the Hail Varsity Club tonight. A wonderful event honoring the 1994 starting offensive line. Guys, as we shift away from Coach Solich and his media session to the spring game tomorrow, it is one of the talking points all week, all spring, has been the Nebraska offensive line. Mm-hmm. The big boys are going to be wearing gray shirts tomorrow. It's going to be full contact, going to be full expectations, and that is probably number 1, 1A, 1B, 1C, with a lot of us either covering the team or folks that are going to be out there in the spring-like conditions, wanting to see the progress made by that offensive line, who stands out, who looks like they've improved, and what type of springboard can it be?
And whenever you look at the offensive line, we had discussions this week about what the format of the spring game is actually going to look like with only 12 offensive linemen who are going to be available to go. And I don't think it should come as any surprise after what we've heard from this coaching staff all spring long. They're preaching physicality, toughness, dominant contact, that they're not going to shy away from a spring game. Now, they may adjust the clock, shorten the game a little bit in the second half. But her thoughts, is this even going to look like a game with that many? I think we should have expected that with this coaching staff, that it was going to be a game. They're going to rise to the face of adversity and do what needs to be done. That's what this coaching staff has preached. And I think it would have been putting yourself out on the wrong foot if you'd start a spring game off with something that didn't look like an actual football game. And I think you can look back at the past couple of years of Husker football and say, not quite sure those look like spring games with two-hand touch football in the first half. And I got a pop up on my screen, excuse me, and just things like that. It didn't quite look like a football game. So I think Matt Rule, knowing what a first spring game, a first look from the fans at your team, how important that can be, getting off on the right foot. I don't think it comes as a surprise that, it is going to be full contact. These linemen are going to go both ways. They're going to have to toughen up, rise to the adversity, and play through it. That should come as no surprise.
No, they're going to get after it. Defense, how aggressive, how talented. What's a glimpse of this 3-3-5, this mass confusion, this pressure, this aggressiveness from Mr. Tony White, the defensive coordinator. We'll cover it all. We're here at the Hail Varsity Club, the Pipeline event. It's 6 tonight here in La Vista. We'll check in with Jacob Padilla. More spring football thoughts. Hail Varsity continues, presented by Currency.
Hail Varsity is a must-have for true Husker fans. Get a monthly magazine that'll make checking the mail fun again. Daily analysis and breaking news, including the inside scoop on recruiting on HailVarsity.com. And every June, you'll get the Nebraska Football Yearbook, a season preview completely dedicated to Nebraska football that's as comprehensive as national previews. Use that promo code AR for monthly subscriptions, that yearly promo code DB at HailVarsity.com.
Hail Varsity Club in La Vista is the perfect place to go for lunch every day. Dine in at the club and get our express lunch special for just $10. It's the all-beef Hail Varsity burger, fries, and a fountain drink delivered to your table in under 15 minutes. Hail Varsity Club in La Vista for lunch every day. And the perfect spot to watch all the big games. Reserve your table today and check out the events we've got coming up at HailVarsityClub.com. In La Vista, right next to Cabela's. Hail Varsity Club.
I'm Howard Mackler, founder of Innovation Refunds. You've heard me talking about the payroll tax refund for months. If you own a business, even if you've asked your CPA about this, you owe it to yourself to take another look. We provide a licensed and insured tax attorney who evaluates your company at my expense to determine eligibility. Businesses of all types can qualify, so go to getrefunds.com to potentially get a payroll tax refund of up to $26,000 per employee. Download the Innovation Refunds app or go to getrefunds.com, getrefunds.com.
Attorney Joe Cordell.
Divorce forces a father to focus on what's most important, his children. You may no longer be a husband, but you'll always be a dad. In the divorce process, this comes down to 3 key concerns: physical custody, decision-making, as well as financial support. Each of these is important, and it's important that you choose a lawyer that cares as much about these issues as you do.
Schedule an appointment with one of Cordell & Cordell's Lincoln area attorneys. 1221 N Street, Suite 801, Lincoln, Nebraska 68508.
Finding great people to hire is like trying to find a needle in a haystack. It's pretty difficult, right? Well, ZipRecruiter has mastered finding a needle in a haystack, so they take it to the next level. They make hiring so simple that it's like finding a needle in a needle stack. And that's why you should try ZipRecruiter for free at ZipRecruiter.com/free. Here's what it's like to use ZipRecruiter. They have so many qualified candidates that it's easier to find the right ones for your roles. In fact, 4 out of 5 employers who post on ZipRecruiter get a quality candidate within the first day. That's a lot of needles. So how do they do it? ZipRecruiter's powerful technology sends you candidates who are a great match for your job, and you can even invite your top choices to apply. So if you want less hay and more needles, head to ZipRecruiter.
And right now, you can try ZipRecruiter for free. That's right, free.
And now, back to Hail Varsity Radio.
Thanks for hanging out. Hail Varsity Radio Roadshow Friday here at the Hail Varsity Club. The club is hosting the Pipeline event tonight from 6 to 9. It is sold out. And two more Pipeline members making their appearance in here. Pretty awesome with Brendan Stye, Dr. Rob Zadiska, Joel Wilkes, Aaron Graham, and Mr. Zach Wiegert. They'll be on stage here. If you were unable to get a seat tonight here at the Hail Varsity Club, listen, you can stream it with Hurrdat Sports on the YouTube channel of Hurrdat Sports, or check out Hurrdat Sports Twitter. Give that a follow if you don't already. We are getting reconnected video-wise, and look at that. It's wonderful. Let's check in and say hi to Jacob Padilla with HailVarsity.com and magazine. At Jacob Padilla _ is where you can follow him on Twitter. Done a great job of covering Husker hoops, also Nebraska football, and all over the high school beat. Jacob, how's Friday treating you? How's the roadie, bud? Thanks for jumping in.
Jacob, do we have you?
We'll work on getting reconnected with Jacob.
Well, Jacob just hung up on us. He's like, I am done with you. Just click.
He's probably coming down to the Pipeline event. Has no time for us.
Right. Little Costanza towards us. That's fine.
Well, it's all building suspense here for what Jacob's going to say. We're going to have an update in the recruitment of Hunter Salas. That's going to be big news as he's in town this weekend.
It is. Official weekend for Hunter this weekend, and Jacob's maybe sweating out his sons a little bit for the NBA postseason. But what's really cool is just the pomp around tomorrow with Nebraska football and spring football. As Coach Solich spent time with the media a little bit earlier, we will get Jacob's take on what he wants to see and some things he's excited about. I mean, there's a lot of players we have circled. Let's try him again. Jacob Padilla from Hail Varsity with us. Jacob, do you have us?
I can hear you this time.
There we go.
Awesome. Sweet.
Love it when technology works just how it's supposed to.
You just give a biscuit to the giant rat in back running around the little circular thing.
I like how the animal changes every single week. 1 week it's a rat, and then it's a gerbil, and then it's a hamster. It's because we work them so hard. We got to replace them.
We got to tag out and tag back in. Jacob, spring football game tomorrow. Thoughts on what you think we'll see, and just some guys you're interested in getting a gander at. You've got a number of portal guys, but you've got a number of guys also too that maybe you haven't seen in a football game for a while with Nebraska. Pretty intriguing tomorrow.
Yeah, well, first off, what Matt Rule said yesterday about kind of the way he wants it to play out is certainly intriguing. Kind of gives you the idea that we might actually be able to learn more from this game than we typically do, or at least haven't for a while, in terms of the level of competition and the format of it and everything. It sounds like they're going to go out there and play football, and they're not going to run something that's not their scheme because they're so terrified of the opponents getting a look at what they might do in a few months. So that's kind of nice as well. So it's just after hearing about all this stuff for so long, it'll be nice just to see, even at the very basic level, what it looks like. All right, where are they positioning players? Like who do they have out there in some of these more unique spots? Obviously, the depth chart's not anywhere close to down in 10, but I mean, we won't tell. All right, which of these guys have done well to this point and position themselves to earn significant playing time come the fall. As far as individuals, you want my in-depth thoughts on it? Go check out HailVarsity.com. It's about 5 guys there that I'm particularly interested in seeing. Mix of returners. Actually, a lot of them are returners. Guy I put out there, a couple guys out there that just like guys that we've heard so much about that have been around for a while and that maybe haven't gotten the fair shake for a variety of reasons the last couple of years, but that the new coaches seem to love, and Heinrich Harburg and Gabe Irvin Jr. I'm really excited to see what those guys look like in this new scheme. Hopefully both healthy, ready to go, but they've been getting reps now. after Harvard kind of essentially was a forgotten player for the team last year. New coaches seem to really like him, so I'm excited to see in particular kind of what that looks like. Well, what does this offense look like when he's back there running it?
Jacob Padilla is with us here. It's Hail Varsity Radio. And Jacob, usually the story with spring games is how low stakes something like this is. You get your work in through spring football, and then the spring game is kind of a celebration of that as you get off into to summer. But tomorrow feels a little bit different with just the roster being over the scholarship limit. It feels like guys might be playing for spots, and we expect there to be some guys in the transfer portal next week. So what guys do you think actually have some pressure on them with this game tomorrow to go out and perform and try to secure themselves a roster spot?
I think there's a certain level of pressure on everybody. Like you said, it's kind of their first chance to get out there and play. Like I'm not going to speculate about, this guy is, if he doesn't come out and play really well, like he's out. But I mean, it really is. Everybody is trying to, with this fresh start. I think there are a number of veterans that probably feel secure in their role on this team and everything, but you got new guys coming in trying to bump guys, returners down the depth chart. I'm curious, the secondary in particular is going to be a spot where I have no idea what it's going to look like. That group might be returning more than any other position outside of the offensive line in terms of guys that have started and played a lot back there, in addition to guys that have been here for a while that haven't played a lot. There's just something like 27 scholarship players at those two positions, at the safety and corner, and then some of them are playing the rover and the various package positions there. But I think that's probably the one where, all right, we've heard that Malcolm Hartzog moved into safety. That gives you a lot of guys between the kind of the rover and safety spots that have played football. And Miles Farmer, our Keith Buford's got to get healthy, but he was a starter. Isaac Gifford, we talked to him yesterday, and he played that nickel last year. He's looking at the rover spot now. And also Omaha Brown has gotten plenty of plays in that rover spot. If Hartzog goes to safety, then what does that leave at corner opposite Quinton Newsome? So I think, like, if you're going to focus on one group, like, all right, these guys are fighting for jobs, fighting for roster spots, that's probably the one that I'm most intrigued by.
Jacob Padilla is with us here. It's Hail Varsity Radio. And Jacob, last thought here on football before we get your thoughts on some basketball. First, I need a prediction for that first play. Is it going to be a fullback dive? And then who do you think gets it done, red or white? And I know we really don't know what the roster is going to look like, so it might be a random guess, but we got to get the answer from Jacob.
Yeah, no, I think that would be a little too on the nose there just to go with it right off the bat. We also, I don't know how many fullbacks they even have on the roster. Like, Ruth is the only one right now that I think is actually a fullback on the team. They're obviously experimenting with different guys and spots, but looks like Sam Hoskinson wasn't on the roster anymore last time I looked. So they really only have one fullback right now, and if the first possession goes to the team that Ruth isn't on, I don't even know if that'll be an option. So I don't think it'll be. I think it'll just be a straight running play. I don't know that they're going to try to make a point with this first play outside of probably handing it off to somebody and letting the backs go do their thing. So I'll just go with straight handoff. I don't know what kind of running play it'll be, but that'll be interesting to see. Kind of, I'm not one like a super X's and O's football guy that dives into space. I don't know kind of what their go-to running plays are or have been in the past, so I can't really call out a specific play. But I think it'll just be a straight run play with the halfback.
Jacob Padilla is with us on Hail Varsity Radio, and let's transition over to hoops here, Jacob, real quick. Obviously, a big official visit in Lincoln this weekend with Hunter Salas, but a guy that I want to ask you about is somebody who's been kind of paired with Hunter throughout this recruitment process, and that's Wrightsell. Now with Nemhard going to Gonzaga, does that open up maybe another opportunity for Wrightsell and another team that Nebraska has to compete with for him, with Arizona now opening up at that point guard spot?
Yeah, that certainly interesting. Adding Arizona as a late add visit list kind of makes you think they got word maybe that the Nemhard thing was shifted away from them, and I think they probably feel good with Boswell there at the point. But you can bring in Reitzel as a rotational combo guard there. And I think that fits in better anyway than actually running the point somewhere. So I think I don't know who else they're kind of targeting, who else they've got on their board right now. But yeah, certainly the fact that he hasn't committed to Nebraska and that he's still taking these other visits, even scheduling another visit, probably isn't a great sign for Nebraska. But we'll have to see kind of how those visits go. Obviously, I think he was down in Alabama right now, and he's got that Arizona one upcoming.
Jacob, a thought on Hunter Salas and where things stand. Nebraska has another chance to impress. Can they do enough to win it, or do you think Hunter's going to take other looks here before it's all said and done?
I get the sense that they're going to have to do a lot of work this weekend coming out of that Wake Forest visit for him. I think what I heard, it sounds like that visit went very, very well. So Nebraska's they've got a lot of work to get done this year to make up the ground. I think it's going to have to be kind of a home run visit where Hunter gets a great feeling and feels like everything he's looking for is available here. So it certainly is a huge weekend for the Huskers, especially again. Like I don't know that you feel great about Reitzel or Salas right now. And if you strike out on both those guys, then all right, where are you turning now? I think that the Brady Oltmans visit sounds like went well for them as a late high school potential ad. Although he kind of plays up the spots that they've already got some pieces at, so he's not as much of an immediate impact like filling the spots they need in that backcourt. It's more just, hey, he's a really good player that fits what we do, and let's see if we can add him and figure out the rest later. So they certainly still got a lot of work to do. The Matt and Bryce Williams pickups were a great start, and I've already kind of put together a Rink Matt film study over on HailVarsity.com. I really enjoyed going through and putting that together. He's a great fit for Nebraska and Hurrdat offense, but they still got some work to do here now before they kind of finish up this portal work and put together a complete roster that can compete in the Big Ten.
Jacob, be safe, and we'll talk soon. Thanks for the time.
All right. Thanks for having me, guys.
It's KFOR inflation deflation time. Your chance to win $1,000 is right now. Enter this hour's winning word at KFORnow.com, and you could be our next winner.
This hour's word is grow. That's grow. Grow. Grow.
Enter this hour's word at KFORnow.com, and you could be on your way to winning $1,000 from KFOR.
Hi, this is Michael Dixon, voice of the Lincoln Self-Dogs. Join me for the play-by-play action this season on KFOR FM 101.5, 1240 AM, and online at KFORnow.com.
Access to healthcare is a fundamental human need. A new bill threatens that act in Nebraska, and not just for the group it targets. LB 574 would take complex medical decisions away from doctors, patients, and their families. We doctors are already hearing from physicians in training that they will not stay in Nebraska because of this, worsening our existing shortage here in the heartland. Please help us by contacting your senator. LB 574 is bad medicine for Nebraska.
Advocacy by League of Women Voters Nebraska. Paid for by Nebraska Doctors for Patient Freedom.
Finding great people to hire is like trying to find a needle in a haystack. It's pretty difficult, right? Well, ZipRecruiter has mastered finding a needle in a haystack, so they take it to the next level. They make hiring so simple that it's like finding a needle in a needle stack. And that's why you should try ZipRecruiter for free at ZipRecruiter.com/free. Here's what it's like to use ZipRecruiter. They have so many qualified candidates that it's easier to find the right ones for your roles. In fact, 4 out of 5 employers who post on ZipRecruiter get a quality candidate within the first day. That's a lot of needles. So how do they do it? ZipRecruiter's powerful technology sends you candidates who are a great match for your job, and you can even invite your top choices to apply. So if you want less hay and more needles, head to ZipRecruiter.
And right now, you can try ZipRecruiter for free. That's right, free. At ZipRecruiter.com/free. That's ZipRecruiter.com/FREE. ZipRecruiter.com/free. ZipRecruiter, the smartest way to hire.
Chris Stokes is running for the Lincoln Airport Authority. Chris Stokes is a career airline professional and combat veteran whose focus is improving Lincoln by expanding major airline service. For over 30 years, Chris Stokes has been a corporate pilot, military pilot, instructor, and airline pilot for a global airline. He has the knowledge and passion to bring more airline service to the Lincoln Airport. Vote Chris Stokes for Lincoln Airport Authority.
Paid for by Chris Stokes for Lincoln Airport Authority.
He's the young, energetic, fresh voice of conservative reason. Stay connected with Ben Shapiro, weekday evenings from 8 till 9.
And now, back to Hail Varsity Radio.
Big thanks to Jacob Padilla from HailVarsity.com and magazine for joining us. Good intel there on Hunter Salas, Wrightsell, Nebraska's hoops effort off over yonder, the pipeline right now. We're getting their Sharpies ready, and there is some signage that's going to go on as most of the, well, I guess all of them, I'll say it this nicely, all of them look like they could still go maul somebody.
Oh,
I mean, they are not at playing weight, 25 plus years later, but they still look in tremendous shape. The pipeline event going on here at the Hail Varsity Club, 6 to 9, the event sold out. So I guess if we want to say it this way, next time,
well, I mean,
next time there's an event at the Hail Varsity Club, hailvarsityclub.com. Get logged on and get here. Now, listen, Hurrdat Sports, YouTube channel, Hurrdat Sports, Twitter, gonna stream this thing. So that is awesome. That is awesome, but really cool to have the 5 incredible offensive linemen that brought that first championship to Coach Osborne here tonight, 6 to 9. They'll be on the stage we're at. We will make sure we disinfect and get things cleared off. Yeah, get that mustache out.
Okay.
I think Sty was the only one that rocked the mustache back in '94 on the pipeline, if memory serves. Numbers to get in, 489-1240, 489-1240.
And speaking of watching, as you mentioned, you can watch the pipeline event tonight, 6 to 9, Hurrdat Sports on Twitter is where you can do it. Maybe you didn't get in with the VIPs. I see Kent Pavelka's name down on the VIP list. So an impressive VIP listing tonight. Tough to get in, tough
right
crowd.
Next to Elijah Herbel, and Kent's going to want that seat changed.
But we have Patrick here in the stream saying he's checking us out on stream for the first time, listens to the podcast every night at work, and he says, Chris, you are older than you sound, or you sound older than you are, and I have more hair than how I sound, which I think both of those are compliments, maybe?
They are. Patrick, thanks for listening. Thanks for checking out the stream.
Do I sound like I'm balding?
No. Hail Varsity YouTube channel, the Hail Varsity Twitter feed, also with Hail Varsity Radio. Follow that. No, I for years, I apparently drive a Rascal. I'm 700 pounds, and I have oxygen tank. That's the painting people get, which is fine. Dan tweets in, I know they'll bust out the Black Flash 41 reverse. Of course, that was the trick play dialed up by Coach Solich against Oklahoma. Stunts to Crouch, touchdown. Nebraska wins 20-10. Incidentally, the last time Nebraska was ranked number 1 in the country was 2001. They were number 1 in the BCS back when there was such thing as a BCS. But let's go around the room here and have a little fun with this. What are you dialing up? If Coach Satterfield says, I'm going to text Elijah Herbel, Chris Schmidt, Connor Clark, what are you calling tomorrow? Is it too obvious to just do the fullback tribute? I know he did it when he was at Georgia Southern or whatever place it was. It might have been Georgia Southern, I think. My favorite ever is the fake option pass, where you're lined up on the right hash mark. You run a short side option, you drop back, and then your tight end, Johnny Mitchell, Matt Harrion, Junior Miller, Thomas Finoni are running wide open, and it's 6. That's my go-to always and forever is the option pass. That's my favorite play ever. And then the short side option, when they know it's coming and you can't stop it, is just under the option pass at number 2. I loved watching Makovic all those years with the fullback trap, too.
Well, see,
and Schlesinger, of course.
I have 2 different directions I can go with the first play call. The first being an homage to the Big Ten as opposed to Nebraska and kind of test your offensive line. I was going to say
punt?
Quarterback sneak on first and 10.
You're going to punt it on first down.
No. Quarterback sneak on
Big
first
10.
down. You punt it on second down. That's Big Ten football right there. So you can see if you get a push from your offensive line, 4 or 5 yards in the quarterback sneak, and then by then you're out to the 30, and that's punting territory. You want to make sure you pin the other team deep. So if you're paying homage to the Big Ten, that's what I would suggest. If you're paying homage to Nebraska, who remembers that series, Nebraska, Ohio State? Ohio State's up by 28 points in the first quarter, and then Nebraska pulls out the wishbone, and they start and they go with the triple option. Why don't you pull out the wishbone on first and 10, run one triple option, and then you get back into your normal offense? That's the homage to Nebraska. That's the one I'd go with, and I think if they pulled it out in the first play, you'd hear the roar from Memorial Stadium here at the Hail Varsity Club.
The roar has not been as – it's been a while since it's been that loud, but who was the up back? He was the JUCO running back. Man, I forget. That
Dedrick Mills?
Yes, it was Mills. Thank you.
From the Ohio State game, yeah.
Good pull. But Mills was a fullback at Georgia Tech in an option or recruited for that option offense. But Mills was busting off runs left and right out of that I formation option look. So, yeah, I mean, I go some sort of option or option pass. Connor, what say you if you're getting a text from Satterfield at midnight tonight? Well, but 2, what are you calling here? You're a Bears fan. You're a college football fan as well. But what are you dialing up here? Are you going 4 verts like our friend Crew says?
Yeah, I was
going
to say
to
I like the way that Crew rolls in the chat with the 4 verts. It's a shout out to Madden. But in a perfect world, I have them do the exact replica of probably the prettiest juke of all time from Rex Burkhead.
Check down.
Yeah, the old check down. But you have to make the defender miss and score on it. It can't end up any other way. But, you do mention my Bears fandom, and, Bears football is a lot like Big Ten football. I mean, it's very, low scoring.
Alcohol's needed.
Yeah, not very pretty. I liked your option pass suggestion a lot, though, Schmitty. And I also they ran it against Michigan 2 years ago, where I believe Adrian faked the handoff and then Austin Allen just kind of snuck out of nowhere right up the seam. I like that one a lot. So those are probably some of the ones that I would run.
Okay, some sort of play action.
And what would be the worst possible first play call? That's another place you can go with this. What would put you out on Matt Rule and Coach Satterfield if they ran? Because I go with any sort of West Coast passing concept. If you're running that in the first play of the game,
you're going to go pro style backfield where you have a split backfield. It's a 3-step drop, and it's a curl route to the tight end for 7 when you need 8.
Or I go back to the Northern Illinois game way back when, where if you get down inside the 10-yard line, throw a slant from shotgun and see if the defense can house it for 6. That'd be a fun one. That would, I'm sure, keep everyone in Memorial Stadium quite happy.
Oh, who was the quarterback there? I forget.
Wasn't that Lee?
Tanner Lee. Yes. Tanner.
I try to forget. I drink to forget that one.
Cheers to you, Tanner. Cheers to you, my friend.
He threw the prettiest spiral I've ever seen. It just always went to the other team.
It happened. And then Rutgers came to town, and they had a pick 6, and that was a little frustrating. But
a little.
We'll have a lot more of Frank Solich and Matt Rule coming up next hour, as Coach Solich got to spend time with the media today, which was a great press conference for him. That entire presser is posted on the Hail Varsity YouTube channel, so you can check that out. Going to be a really awesome night for so many Nebraska fans that did get a reservation. It's a sold-out event here at the Hail Varsity Club, as the Pipeline event is set to go at 6 o'clock here in La Vista. We'll wind down this first hour. It's Hail Varsity Radio. We're presented by Currency.
Hey, I'm Andy. If you don't know me, it's probably because I'm not famous. But I did start a men's grooming company called Harry's. The idea for Harry's came out of a frustrating experience I had buying razor blades. Most brands were overpriced, overdesigned, and out of touch. At Harry's, our approach is simple. Here's our secret. We make sharp, durable blades and sell them at honest prices for as low as $2 each. We care about quality so much that we do some crazy things, like buy a world-class German blade factory. Obsessing over every detail means we're confident in offering a 100% quality guarantee. Millions of guys have already made the switch to Harry's, so thank you if you're one of them. And if you're not, we hope you give us a try with this special offer. Get a Harry's starter set with a 5-blade razor, weighted handle, shave gel, and a travel cover, all for just $3 plus free shipping. Just go to harrys.com and enter code TRUST at checkout. That's harrys.com, code TRUST. Enjoy.
If you own a small to medium-sized business that kept employees on payroll through COVID, you may have a big cash refund waiting for you. The Employee Retention Credit is a tax credit of up to $26,000 per employee. The experts at RefundsPro.com specialize in cutting through the red tape of qualifying for this government program, and there are absolutely no fees unless you receive a refund. Get started today with a free 5-minute questionnaire at RefundsPro.com. That's refunds with an S, pro.com.
Good afternoon from the 1011 Newsroom. I'm Cole Miller. Coming up, a former Husker legend is back in Lincoln. We'll hear from Frank Solich ahead of tomorrow's spring game, where he'll be honored. Plus, a new exhibit opens up in History Nebraska, highlighting a dark side of World War II in America. And we have an update on that fiery crash that injured one person in Lancaster County. These stories and more tonight.
Merge onto Highway 77 South.
This South Bypass sure makes it easy to get around.
Todd Spidell, body shop owner, terrible driver.
It amazes me how new roads and technology make our lives easier. Kind of like how Spidell Body Works makes it easy to navigate through an insurance claim by explaining the procedures and estimating process so it's easy to understand.
In 1/2 mile, continue straight for Beatrice.
Beatrice, got it. We can handle the estimate, submitting new insurance, and answer any questions you have about repairs or the claim process. Wow, these new cars practically drive themselves.
Continue straight for Beatrice.
Okay, the sign says exit. What? It's straight. Ah! Well, the roads are new, but my maps, not so much. Oh well, back to Spidell.
Accidents happen even to good drivers. If it happens to you, call Spidell Body Works and let us take the ball from claim to completion.
And now, back to Hail Varsity Radio.
Back one final time this first hour. It's Hail Varsity Radio on the road at the Hail Varsity Club in La Vista. Awesome event tonight. The Pipeline here, the Pipeline event from 6 to 9. Jim emails in. He wants us to commandeer one of the members from the Pipeline and tell the best fight story. So maybe we can do that. Elijah is threatening to go 5-0 when it comes to arm wrestling here in hour 2.
I don't think I said that.
Filmed doing it.
Oh God,
that would suck. That would absolutely suck.
I'd break my arm probably.
Yeah, absolutely.
Well, I was thinking maybe these guys are old and past their prime, but no, these guys are still quite large.
They are. This sounds creepy, but they're in really good shape. So we'll go that way.
If you didn't preface it by saying this is going to sound creepy, it would have sounded less creepy.
I get it. Bill Doleman's coming up in 10 minutes. Prior to Fairbury, NBC Sports. Brady Oltmans with your recruiting hit and spring thoughts for tomorrow. And then Vista Sports Network's Danny Burke will have a inside track on the NHL and NBA playoffs. Where's he leaning? A reminder to get buckled up, hands on the wheel, eyes and mind straight ahead. The driver has one job: to drive a message from the Nebraska Department of Highway Safety Office. If you did not get seats here at the Hail Varsity Club, just want to reiterate that the Hurrdat Sports Twitter feed and YouTube channel will stream this event live, and one of many events that go on here at the Hail Varsity Club. So if you're thinking about putting something on, this is really cool. Great folks from Pipeline Jerky are making this happen as well. Our friend Redcasters are off in they're enjoying a cold beer, which sounds really incredible. I'm going to army crawl to the bar here at halftime. But some more suggestions, fellas, with what should that first play call be for Coach Satterfield and Rule tomorrow. We're thinking, yes, the fullback tribute to Coach Solich. We've had other dubious suggestions. Dion
from the top rope. Dion comes
with a steel chair, says, "Let's have a freaking onside kick." That's going to be too soon for 2 decades. The first play should be an onside kick. How about a bubble screen for a pick six? And then Vic from Denver. We're going to see Vic when we're in Boulder.
For Lucky.
Yeah, well, Vic's awesome. Vic 2 years ago brought a 10-year-old bottle of whiskey.
I'm pretty sure he bought a bottle of whiskey that was older than his son.
Yeah, he did. Yeah. and he parted ways with it. It was incredible. Vic is awesome. Vic's my favorite person, especially when he's buying shots in Ireland. So, Vic, we love you. And he says the shotgun screen pick six is the worst play ever, period. He's seen that too many times over the last 4 years. So, Vic, you are correct yet again. Doleman will have a take on this.
Well, what would be worse, the shotgun on 1st and 10, first play of the game, or to be on 3rd and 1 going shotgun? What would
just going empty?
Yeah, I mean, what would make Husker Nation collectively lose their minds more?
The audible call for this is Whipple. Whipple, screaming down the sidelines. Whipple.
Well, no, if you just go straight whip it, you have a good a good sign from the sidelines as well. Whenever you're going to whip,
right?
Like 3rd and 1, we're going empty.
We're going empty. Forget the sneak.
Well, mine's like back in high school, whenever we went Trey, 3 receivers, we had Trey Foster. He had long hair, so that was our symbol back there. So some sort of whip. Some sort of whip for Whipple.
Yeah, and just hand it to Trey. He'd get it. Hour 2 is on the way here at the Hail Varsity Club Pipeline event. We're presented by Currency.
Do you know the common signs of transmission trouble?
Your engine revs before falling into gear. Shifting is rough, or you're leaking reddish-brown fluid.
Knowing the signs could mean repair instead of replace.
That's where we come in. We're certified transmission.
The job done right at the right price.
Listen to this station anytime, anywhere on Odyssey. Odyssey is your new audio home for all the music, news, sports, and podcasts that matter to you. Odyssey. That's AUDACY.
Hey, I'm Andy. If you don't know me, it's probably because I'm not famous. But I did start a men's grooming company called Harry's. The idea for Harry's came out of a frustrating experience I had buying razor blades. Most brands were overpriced, overdesigned, and out of touch. At Harry's, our approach is simple. Here's our secret. We make sharp, durable blades and sell them at honest prices for as low as $2 each. We care about quality so much that we do some crazy things, like buy a world-class German blade factory. Obsessing over every detail means we're confident in offering a 100% quality guarantee. Millions of guys have already made the switch to Harry's, so thank you if you're one of them. And if you're not, we hope you give us a try with this special offer. Get a Harry starter set with a 5-blade razor, weighted handle, shave gel, and a travel cover, all for just $3 plus free shipping. Just go to harrys.com and enter code TRUST at checkout. That's harrys.com, code TRUST. Enjoy.
Springtime is also known as the start of grilling season. And when you're grilling big, juicy burgers and mouth-watering hot dogs, only one bun will do. With state-of-the-art facilities throughout the Midwest, Village Hearth offers a variety of delicious buns that are delivered fresh daily to your local grocer. So whether you like unsliced old-fashioned hamburger and hot dog buns or prefer classic white or wheat, just look for the familiar red Village Hearth logo on the package and you've made the right choice. Village Hearth buns, locally baked and delivered fresh.
This is your station for local news, talk, sports, and weather. FM 101.5, 1240 AM, KFOR, Lincoln.
From ABC News, I'm Chuck Severson. The Supreme Court's expected to announce a decision by late tonight on whether it will wade into the abortion pill legal battle. It could affect access to medication abortions nationwide, even in states where abortion is legal. A new office devoted to where we all live as Earth Week winds down.
President Biden today signed an executive order aimed at advancing environmental justice and curbing the climate crisis.
It's an existential threat to our nation and literally to the world. I wish I could say that everyone saw it that way.
The executive order creates a new Office of Environmental Justice. The president said this issue is a priority for his administration.
Including the right to breathe clean air, to drink clean water, and to be treated with dignity. To all of you, we're making progress, but there's much more to do to finish the job.
Karen Travers, ABC News, the White House.
Scrapping COVID funding, student loan forgiveness, and green tax credits are among the proposed Republican spending cuts. And House Speaker Kevin McCarthy announced that some Republicans want to tie to raising the debt ceiling. The White House continues saying the debt ceiling is not negotiable and was raised without any crisis when there was a Republican president. With a newly announced 72-hour tentative ceasefire for both sides in Sudan, any mass evacuation of Americans is so far not in the cards, says White House Press Secretary Karine Jean-Pierre. But
the U.S. is deploying additional capabilities to the region for contingency purposes related to securing and potentially facilitating departure of U.S. Embassy personnel from Sudan if circumstances require it.
The NFL suspends 5 players for violating NFL rules banning gambling on NFL games. ESPN insider Dan Graziano.
What they found with regard to Jamison Williams and Stanley Berryhill was that they did not bet on NFL games, but that they did bet on other games while they were at the Lions team facility.
You're listening to ABC News.
In business, everything your employees do impacts your brand, including what they wear. Cintas has high-performance workplace apparel for almost every job imaginable. From work shirts and pants, to polos and khakis, to Oxfords or T-shirts, these clothes move, breathe, and look great. Your team gets the styles they like, you convey the image you want. And Cintas service includes weekly laundry and delivery. To learn more, visit Cintas.com.
Oh, I'm ready!
And get ready for the workday.
Wait, aren't these all charitable donations?
At Magda's Tax Prep, every person counts.
I do not have to file for an extension.
She needs new auditors to maximize returns on her family time.
On itemized deductions. Hey, can someone help with these 1099s?
Indeed can help her hire great people fast.
I need Indeed.
Indeed you do. Our hiring platform instantly connects you with quality candidates whose resumes on Indeed match your job description. Visit Indeed.com/credit and get $75 towards your first sponsored job.
Good afternoon. I'm Will Wilson, KFOR News. It's 51 degrees in Lincoln. A collision just northeast of Lincoln around 2:30 Thursday afternoon saw one vehicle roll into a ditch while the other one caught on fire. Fire crews from Waverly and Southeast Rural Thursday afternoon were called to the scene of a crash at 112th and Fletcher. Lancaster County Sheriff Terry Wagner says a GMC Terrain SUV was eastbound on Fletcher, while a Chevy pickup truck driven by 29-year-old Zachary Skehan of Alvo was westbound and driving left of center before the collision that saw the truck roll and SUV catch on fire.
Skehan was ejected from his vehicle and he was transported to CHI St. Elizabeth for his injuries. He was stabilized.
The driver of the SUV, 32-year-old Tyler Kofald of Lincoln, was treated and released. Wagner said they're looking at weather conditions as part of this investigation. 2 teens were arrested after they wouldn't stop for Lincoln Police late Thursday night near UNL's city campus.
Officers happened to see a car driven by 18-year-old Zachary Brown of Seward violating some traffic laws and tried to stop his vehicle near 17th and R. But he wouldn't stop, ended up hitting a curb and drove on a sidewalk before the car came to a rest at 19th and S Streets. Lincoln Police Sergeant Chris Vollmer says Brown and his passenger, 18-year-old Blake Frederick of Lincoln, got out and tried to run away before officers arrested them. Brown was arrested for several charges, including DUI and minor in possession.
His BAC was .138.
Frederick was arrested on an outstanding warrant, but cited for obstructing a peace officer. Jeff Moats, KFOR News.
It's been 20 years since Frank Solich was controversially fired as Nebraska's football coach. Now he is back at Lincoln and will be honored at tomorrow's spring game. When speaking to the media today, Solich explained why the time was right for him to come back.
I just felt welcomed in that manner. Knew that it would be good to get back and be a part of what Nebraska's all about. So I looked forward to it, and I'm glad I'm here.
Nebraska's spring game is set to start at 1 p.m. This afternoon, mostly cloudy and breezy with a high of 52. I'm Will Wilson, KFOR News.
Good
hear all the wind and the house moving.
Trailer homes turned upside down.
Tremendous damage.
We were one of the lucky ones that got out.
Severe storms have already taken their toll on communities around the country this year.
People are dying. Damage is unbelievable.
It's awful.
And the storm season here is just getting started.
Tragic loss of life.
Now, more than ever, you need to know when severe weather is a possibility. Don't play games. Get the latest forecast here. KFOR.
Property taxes rising. Crime skyrocketing. Mayor Baird failed Lincoln.
Taxes have raised dramatically.
My property taxes have increased $250 a year.
I can't even afford a new apartment now.
They had 11 homicides in Lincoln last year, which has never happened before.
Lincoln has a better choice. Suzanne Geist.
Senator Geist has made safety.
The voice of Husker Nation is on the air. This is Hail Varsity Radio. Insight, opinion, expertise, along with the biggest names talking Nebraska sports. Join in with the show at 402-489-1240 or 1-800-825-5865. Now, here are your hosts, Chris Schmidt and Elijah Herbel.
Back with you, it's hour 2. It's Hail Varsity Radio here at the Hail Varsity Club. Spring game eve, and the pipeline event is just going to be fantastic. Gets going at 6 tonight, 6 till 9.
And look who just rolled up. It's the No Block, No Rock guys.
All right. We've got quite a podcast party going on with the Redcast folks. The No Block fellas are here. And to our right, 4/5 of the pipeline. And we put it to them, getting their take, and it was unanimous. What are you calling if Satterfield shoots you a text here before kickoff? What is the play call? Sty looks over, thunderously says 44 ISO. Wiegert seconds it, says, yeah, 44 ISO. And Wilkes and Aaron Graham just nods and run the ball. So they say 44 ISO. I say yes, sir. It's all of them. Bill Doleman with us, NBC Sports, Pride of Fairbury. The professor, Billy D., you were a part of those teams, man, with Husker Vision covering the Big Red with the Tom Osborne show. And 44 ISO worked a lot with Schlesinger and company, didn't it? I think somebody's muted. Hang on a minute.
He told me he was using a new setup, and it should be working, but...
Bill?
We can't hear him. He's up on the board.
Can you we're gonna do a baseball sign here. Left, right, chest,
gotcha.
Chin.
Yep. Let's try it again. We'll get him up and running.
Okay. This is awesome. Bill is we're gonna reconnect. So we'll work on that. That very much makes me sad. And he had something incredible to say.
Yeah, and he's wearing, I mean, you could tell he was rising to the occasion here. He was wearing his very best Fairbury Jeffs hoodie.
Yeah.
So whenever Bill's in a mood like that where he's repping the Jeffs, you know he's going to come with some fire. And I don't know what
Bill
the
does not
is.
know this, but he's going to get trank darted at midnight, and he'll wake up around 11 o'clock at the Single Barrel tomorrow. Inside the Graduate for the road show. Let's go.
That's a felony.
Is it?
That's kidnapping, isn't it?
No.
It's worse than the VPN thing.
Yeah. What'd he say?
It's worse than the VPN thing. That's worse than 20 years in prison.
That might be. Bill, do you have us?
Hope so.
There we go.
There he is. Bill Doleman with us, NBC Sports. The 44 ISO. The fullback era of Nebraska, a great Husker fullback, met the media today. I'm sure you have takes, but Bill, good to see you, man. Spring game eve, what's shaking with you?
Well, I heard you say what would the play be, and I think I said a couple of weeks ago you're going to run a fullback trap of some sort. The thing about the 44 ISO with the pipeline is that they would tell the defense, this is what we're going to run, okay? I'm going to block you, and he's going to block him, and that's what we're going to do. Now try and stop us, and they couldn't stop it. So, it's the perfect Nebraska play. The only twist I would like to see is the reverse pivot, handoff with Jeff Sims. Maybe they've been working on that little pirouette. That would be the perfect way to execute a play like that. But, and listening to Rule over the past, week or so that he's been talking more and more about what we're going to see in the spring game tomorrow. I don't think there's a whole lot of pomp and circumstance and show and any of that other stuff. I think if he's going to have any tip of the cap to a special kind of day, it'll be on that first play. And after that, it's going to be all business. So he's pretty serious about, I think, what he wants to put on the field tomorrow. And I get the sense maybe he's feeling a little bit of pressure in putting on in putting on a good show with a good football team.
I think you're right about the pressure part, but it's internal pressure. It's his own standard. I think he wants this team to be a winning football team. He said that yesterday with where they're at versus where they need to go. And Bill, to your point about what the pipeline would tell opposing defensive lines, I'm sure it was in such nice terms too. But yeah, we're going here and I'm going to do this to you. It might have been a little more emphatic with a little more color to it.
Yeah, I'm sure they dropped a few Fairbury bombs on him when they said this is what we're going to effing do. But it was such it was such a if you appreciate football like Nebraska folks do, and appreciate the run game like I think people became accustomed to running it once they realized Tom ain't going to change. I think Nebraska fans can appreciate just great offensive line play, and hopefully that's what we see. And I think, Rule's got an offensive line background. He says that those are his guys, and I think people will be interested. Right? There's not a lot of depth that I gather from the offensive line right now, but I think that's got to be the key to anything that they want to do, is to make sure that they've got a line. You're not going to have the pipeline, okay? It's just not going to happen again. But you can have an offensive line that's physical. I do know that the players who are in that room love the fact that Donovan Raiola was retained. They are very happy that he is their coach and that there wasn't much of a transition for them. So that's a real positive for Rule.
Bill Doleman's with us here. It's Hail Varsity Radio. And Bill, when you look at that offensive line in particular, that was the number one question with what this spring game is going to look like on Saturday. Is it going to be a real game? Are they going to have to hold some things back? Only 12 guys are going to be able to go for that. And I want to get your thoughts. Your guy, you've seen a lot of Husker football. You saw the pipeline in their glory days. What are you going to be watching for tomorrow from that offensive line to see if there has been improvement from what we all know is well below Nebraska standards last season?
Well, I think everybody's probably curious about Bryce Benhart. Unfortunately for him, he plays at a high-profile university on a high-profile position, the offensive line. May not be that way every place else, right? But as last season went on, he wasn't meme-worthy, but there were people who were just waiting for him to make a mistake. And sometimes there were, he had the swinging door on a couple of point-after tries or whatever. And, right or wrong, fair or unfair, he's coming into this season and into this spring game, really, where they talked a lot about his all-conference potential, his pro potential. And I think if there's any one player that maybe exemplifies the developmental coach that Matt Rule is and his staff is supposed to be, that Trev Alberts has talked about from last September on, maybe it's Bryce Benhart. Maybe he is the guy who is the poster boy for Matt Rule football, that we can develop this guy who was criticized heavily a year ago into becoming a dominant offensive lineman. And it's not without precedence, and this is not Rule staff, but remember about 3 years ago, Cam Jurgens was somewhat of a liability at center. You remember how he had the wayward snaps in the shotgun and was not the kind of player that they thought. And the move from tight end to center was not good. Again, it's a different staff. I get that. But the improvement that one guy can make from 1 year to the next can be pretty significant. And Cam Jurgens, was on a team that played in the Super Bowl last year and is going to be the future center for the Philadelphia Eagles. Is that Benhart's path? I don't know. But I think that's the guy that if this is a developmental coaching staff, that's the guy for Nebraskans to watch to see how much he improves from last year to this year. And there are other guys, too, along that line. I think Neweli has a lot to prove after being suspended from last year for whatever reason. And he came out and he said, I've learned my lesson. I'm going to be more responsible, and I'm going to be the player they expect me to be. So those are two guys, not high profile, but two guys I'm interested in seeing develop, how they play tomorrow, but how they develop into next year.
Professor Doleman is with us on Hail Varsity Radio. I'm sorry, I have to. But we've talked a lot about what Rule wants to do with the quarterbacks, get them out and run, be more of a dual threat capability type of position. How much do you think we'll see of that tomorrow with the quarterbacks being live in a spring game? How much do you think we'll see, say, a Heinrich Harburg or a Jeff Sims tuck it and run?
Well, I think they're going to be asked to do that. How often they're asked to do that, I think that kind of remains to be seen. I think there's going to be some exposure plays that are called that we want you to do this. And let's face it, yeah, they might be live, but they're also going to be smart too. Nobody on that defensive side of the ball who might have a wide open shot at a QB is going to take that, that kind of Brian Dawkins shot, if you will. And they've talked about that in practice where some of the pass rushes they've had that shot and they've responsibly wrapped up, message sent. This is what I could have done, but I didn't. So, yeah, it's going to be live tomorrow. And I think everybody who gets a few snaps is going to have some exposure to plays where they are called to perhaps look to run first, right? Or if you have the opportunity, tuck it and go, and let's see what you can do. There's going to be a lot of quarterbacks that are going to be out there trying to prove their worth. This is an audition. What do they have? 100 guys on that roster right now on scholarship, and they've got to get down to 85 or maybe 83. Because Nebraska is probably looking at some other people who have gone into the transfer portal over the last couple of days. It seems like that door is wide open at Georgia, and Nebraska is opening their doors to those guys to come here. So how many guys will there be in the portal after Saturday? But all those QBs, I think, are going to get a look, from Harburg to Purdy to Torres to Sims, Smothers. They're all going to have an opportunity to stake their claim to staying on this roster if they want to.
Bill Doleman joins us, Hail Varsity Radio, talking spring game 2023 at Bill Doleman on Twitter. Bill, want to switch gears? It's a recruiting topic, so bear with me. But it is a pretty big weekend for Nebraska. You have the number one offensive tackle in California, Brandon Baker, that's going to be in Lincoln. We hear a lot about NIL dollars. We hear a lot about NIL dollars thrown around to get him Arch Manning. We don't know what the market is for a Raiola. But could Nebraska be the team for offensive and defensive linemen? Could they be that hub that sets the market and really practices what they preach about being a line of scrimmage physical football program? Not just getting a guy like Baker, but quite honestly, we got the pipeline folks here. You got pipeline jerky. That is going back to the kids in the form of NIL. They're taking care of offensive linemen. They're taking care of defensive linemen. It's super impressive, but Nebraska could find a niche. We all know the big guys up front are how you win, but they're unfortunately not as sexy as the quarterback or the skill guys.
Right. If the market is being set by Arch Manning in this era of NIL in college football, and it's allegedly $8 million, okay, so Raiola is perhaps looking at that kind of number out of Georgia. We don't know that for sure because it's still kind of private dollars, but private numbers. But if that is the market, and maybe Nebraska says, look, we want to all in on everything we can be in college football. Just look at this shiny new building that we're going to open up here in a couple of weeks, and what they're doing with the stadium, all that kind of stuff. But Nebraska says, you know what? Maybe we don't want to be all in like that on that position. But maybe we do want to be the place. Like, if you want to be a great offensive lineman, we value that at Nebraska. And maybe Nebraska says, maybe it's not $8 million for a quarterback. Maybe it's 4 or 5 for a great offensive lineman. And you build an offensive line with a couple of guys, 3 guys, maybe at this is crazy to talk about with high school kids in college football, but maybe you've got a budget of, $3 to $4 to $5 million for a great offensive lineman. Look, Wisconsin's done pretty well for itself over the last 20 years by having mammoth offensive lines and pretty good quarterbacks, Russell Wilson aside. not great quarterbacks, not Manning, not Raiola, not Evers, not all those kinds of guys. They've had massive offensive lines, very good running backs, and they've won a lot of football games. So maybe Nebraska says, all right, we're not all in on one, but we're all in on 3 or 4. And maybe Nebraska becomes a destination for, great offensive linemen out of high school, and that's how they rebuild this thing.
Bill Doleman's with us here. It's Hail Varsity Radio. And Bill, before we get you out, it's not a main news story today, but I want to get your opinion on it. The tunnel walk moving from the northwest corner to the northeast corner of the stadium. It sounds like tomorrow is going to be the last time in that northwest corner. Do you care? Is this a story? Any fond memories of the northwest tunnel? What was it?
Live chicken need to be sacrificed.
Look, I was around when the initial tunnel walk was just these. It was an element in the control room called a toaster, and it's just basically these stars that would circle around, and then they unveiled a team walking out of that archaic South Stadium locker room, right? So I go back to the South Stadium. Now the people are like, oh, the cherished northwest corner. Well, that's only been, 10 years or so. And now they're going, does it really matter? As long as it's good and the people are jacked about it, then let's keep it going. But I don't think it really matters as long as they do go into the stadium. Right? There have been a couple of years, a couple of teams the last few years, maybe it was best that they didn't go into the stadium. All I want them to do is find their way to the field. All right? That's the main thing.
Pride of Fairbury, NBC Sports. It's Bill Doleman, the professor at Bill Doleman on Twitter. Bill, there will be a knock at your door at midnight. There'll be a trank dart deployed. We will see you tomorrow at 11 at the Single Barrel, bud.
I will be there, and I look forward to an actual spring game and not some glorified autograph session. So it'll be fun tomorrow.
Bill, appreciate you, bud. Thanks so much for jumping on. Vic chiming in on the stream. Say it. You got to say it before you leave.
Go Big Red?
Yes, there we go. Pride of Fairbury, Bill Doleman. Brady Oltmans coming up. We will have a number on estimated NIL value for top offensive tackles. Hail Varsity continues from the Hail Varsity Club.
Hail Varsity Club in La Vista is the perfect place to go for lunch every day. Dine in at the club and get our express lunch special for just $10. It's the all-beef Hail Varsity burger, fries, and a fountain drink delivered to your table in under 15 minutes. Hail Varsity Club in La Vista for lunch every day. And the perfect spot to watch all the big games. Reserve your table today and check out the events we've got coming up at hailvarsityclub.com. In La Vista, right next to Cabela's. Hail Varsity Club.
Hail Varsity is a must-have for true Husker fans. Get a monthly magazine that'll make checking the mail fun again. Daily analysis, the breaking news, including the inside scoop on recruiting on hailvarsity.com. And every June, that's right, every June, you'll get the Nebraska Football Yearbook, a season preview completely dedicated to Nebraska football. That's as comprehensive as national previews. Remember, get to hailvarsity.com.
Listen to this station anytime, anywhere on Odyssey. Odyssey is your new audio home for all the music, news, sports, and podcasts that matter to you. Odyssey. That's AUDACY.
Nebraskans love the great outdoors. Hi, I'm Jeff.
And I'm Hershey. We bring you the inside scoop with pros from the Nebraska Game and Park
On Outdoor Nebraska every Saturday morning at 9:45 here on KFOR 1240 AM.
and 101.5 FM.
Chris Stokes is running for Lincoln Airport Authority. Successful businessman and combat veteran. Chris Stokes is a retired Air Force pilot with 28 years of commercial airline experience. Chris Stokes is a longtime Lincolnite who has a plan to attract more major airlines to the Lincoln Airport. His number one priority is to expand major airline service. Elect Chris Stokes to the Lincoln Airport Authority.
Paid for by Chris Stokes for Lincoln Airport Authority.
Diabetes, high blood pressure, anxiety meds, everyone's on them.
If you're a 50-year-old male, maybe a bit porky, and you may even have type 2 diabetes, $1 million of term insurance may only cost you about $200 a month. Call Term Provider. Speak with Big Lou at 800-444-9336. Big Lou will find a term life policy for you even if you have type 2 diabetes, are overweight, or have high blood pressure. Term Provider has helped thousands of people like you who think they can't afford term life insurance. To buy $1 million of affordable term life for you, all you need to do is call Big Lou at 800-444-9336. Lou will make sure the scales are tipped in your favor. Call 800-444-9336. Big Lou will answer your call and work to fit you into a term life policy that you can afford.
And now,
back to Hail Varsity Radio.
Back with you, it's Hail Varsity Radio, Hour 2. We're presented by Currency. For all your equipment financing needs, go Currency. So my clone is phenomenal. Elijah wants to be a little bit closer. That's right.
Look at us.
Look at us. We're teammates. Brady Oltmans is like, I'm out, dude. He is checked in. Staff writer, HailVarsity.com and magazine. The pipeline event going on here at the Hail Varsity Club. It is sold out. So that is tough news for you if you wanted to be here. The good news, though, your friends from Hurrdat, YouTube, and the Twitter handle, they'll stream this event. But Mr. Wiegert, Mr. Stye, Joe Wilkes is here, Aaron Graham. Man, what a group. They unanimously have said 44 ISO for the first play tomorrow. A tribute to the fullback, Brady Oltmans. I saw you, man, today with Coach Solich, and that was really awesome to see him come back. Let's start there. Let's go back there before we talk spring game, bud. And just same old Coach Solich, just giving himself to the program and not only coming back. Everyone feels really happy about that. He feels, I think, at peace about it. But a lot of folks have covered him for a number of years, and it was really good to see him.
Yeah, it kind of gets lost on me sometimes, just that relationship that you build with people over time in that capacity. Because after he got done talking, he would kind of talk with Mike Babcock and a couple of the longtime beat guys that were working the beat when Frank was coaching there. And, they're just kind of catching up. And obviously when Frank was talking, he talked about how his old players meant a lot to him, not only at Nebraska, but at Southeast, and then in Omaha before that. They're having dinners, lunches, all these events and stuff during the spring game, everything to make this a whole big event for him. And I think it feels like a homecoming, and it should, because it's a long time coming, but like Frank kind of explained, now is when he feels comfortable. This is the time for him, and good on him, because he deserves it. I can tell you firsthand from my glimpse inside Memorial Stadium, they'll have some special signage on Tom Osborne Field for him tomorrow, so that should be pretty cool.
Brady, do you foresee anything beyond a halftime appreciation for Frank Solich? We talked about that in the first hour. Do you see a name going up underneath the big screen in North Stadium? Do you see a name going on that new football facility? Do you think there's any added surprise with Frank being honored tomorrow?
I think so, but I'm not exactly sure where. I mean, I don't know if it would be involved in the new facility at all, but I would be willing to. I would say it's more likely than not that they're going to name some sort of something in the athletic department after him.
The Frank Solich Tunnel Walk maybe has a nice ring to it.
Well, I was going to say, you made the face of somebody who knows something. So that tells me that something is going to happen.
Brady's like, log on, HailVarsity.com. Read about it.
Find on Twitter at Brady Oltmans.
Yeah. / subscribe. It's going to cost you a little bit.
Well, we'll just say it now. HailVarsity.com /offer.
There you
Offers
go.
how you do it. That's digital. That's print. You'll love it when you walk into the Hail Varsity Club here in La Vista. To the right, when you come in, is the kind of the podcast / club area, back area, and it's littered with covers, all the covers, the 10 years plus of Hail Varsity magazine. And we've even gotten a few folks to sign their covers with Makovica being here last time when we were here. Now, I'm not the tallest guy, and Makovica is not the tallest guy, but since it's a fullback-themed Friday, we airlifted him, and he signed it. We got to get Searles up here. We got to Kenny Bell signed up here. So it's really cool with all the covers.
And Eric Francis is on site. Brady, I know you do a podcast with Eric. Maybe he should be signing all these. He's the one who's actually taking the photos for Hail Varsity, and I think we're going to be talking with Eric at some point next week on this show. So maybe we can ask him about that, but maybe it's time for him to start signing his own work.
I endorse it. I put the words in there. He puts the pictures. I'm sure he'd enjoy getting one up in me and having his signature on the wall there somewhere.
That's pretty good. Let's before we get into some themes for tomorrow as far as players and what to look for, let's hit the recruiting trail. Brandon Baker, not just Brandon, but his family, his older brother. I mean, Nebraska's got a unique opportunity. Baker's his brother was really good at Oregon, and that's competition for Nebraska for the number one offensive tackle out on the West Coast. But I think Baker's really bought in and locked in with what Nebraska truly wants to do on the offensive line. Brady, spend a moment here just not only with Baker, but Brandon Baker, but also some of the other names you're looking forward to seeing and hearing tomorrow on the recruiting front, some guys you're tracking that could be visiting this weekend or will be visiting this weekend.
Well, Baker's one of the big ones simply because, having the number one offensive tackle in the country is not very many schools get to do that. And you get him here in Lincoln to do that. And he's coming from California. There's a strong California, Long Beach, Los Angeles, and then Mater D and Santa Ana. There's a strong contingent that'll be here this weekend. And I think it's important to kind of build those roads. Obviously, Nebraska's coaching staff has ties all over the place, but those ones are going to be strong. You've got some linebackers, Dylan Williams, the 4-star linebacker there out of Long Beach. I believe he's going to be one to keep an eye on. They've got the future, the 2025 offensive lineman out of Bishop Gorman in Vegas. That is
good school.
And he's interested, and he's going to be one of the top offensive linemen in the 2025 class. He's coming. You've got Jackson Cantwell, down there in Riza, one of the, for whatever reason, I'm blanking on it, Southern Missouri kid, he has family from Nebraska. He's going to be there. And then you've got a couple of in-state guys, Carter Nelson's, that's, one of the big ones that jumps out. They got to make a strong impression. I'm a big believer in the landmark days. You have your big kind of spring visit, and then you've got your spring game, and then you host some big visits in the summer before the season gets going. So this is a big one. They get the fans in there. You can get recruits in to see actually what it's going to be like to play a game at Memorial Stadium. So it's going to be a big one. And linemen are the ones I go to because that's what Matt Rhule is going to want to build the foundation of his tenure of Nebraska upon.
And Brady, I think we're going to get into NIL and how that can work for offensive linemen here in just a second. But a quick trivia question for the room. You mentioned Douglas Utu, great offensive lineman from Bishop Gorman. Does anyone know the last Nebraska offensive lineman to come from Bishop Gorman High School?
Nick Gates.
Boom. Schmidt gets it immediately.
And I had it on the tip of my tongue. I don't know why you beat me to it like that.
Well, and what's cool is Nick Gates is at a former Friday location we were at back during the Riley era.
No free shout-outs.
Exactly. You got to go to the single barrel. And Gates is like, hey, here's my dad's buddy. Well, this guy's a casino mogul, and the UNLV stadium's named after him. Oh, hi, sir. How are you? It's my Nick Gates story.
Let me tell you a business story. I got a business proposition for you.
You're like, crap, son? No, I do not. Brady Oltmans with us here on Hail Varsity Radio. Connor, you had a comment you wanted to jump in with, bud.
Yeah, I was going to say, obviously every spring game is important recruiting-wise, but this year, at least I think that this one is even more important, obviously, because you have a lot more buzz surrounding the spring game, obviously, with Solich coming back, new players, new coaches. Is that going to make any much of a difference between, say, if the old regime was still here for another spring game?
I don't think it makes as much of an impact as you'd think. Talking with recruits and talking to some of the coaches, the biggest impact is obviously the change of energy with the Rule staff and everything. I mean, them coming in gets the fan base a little bit more riled up, but him and his NFL coaching pedigree and the coaching pedigree that his assistants have, that's what's really energizing a lot of these kids. They see the NFL experience for a lot of the assistants and for Rule, and then obviously his success at the college level. They point to that and say, well, okay, well, he's been there. You know, I can kind of get an idea of how to get there from him. He can coach me to that level. And if you're a defensive lineman, for example, you see that they've got a 7-8 year NFL veteran coaching you up, you know, hand on hand. You don't get that at very many schools. You know what I mean? So that opens the door to a lot of these high profile recruits. And then, you know, as we all kind of understand, some of these kids have a misconception of what Nebraska is and what it's like. You get them into Lincoln and get them to the stadium, even just for a spring game. They see, okay, this is the real deal here. You know, like I can see myself playing ball here. So, I mean, I think like the Solich celebration is going to give them an idea. If I'm successful here, they're going to, you know, wrap their arms around me and I'll be welcomed at Nebraska for years afterwards. But I think that the more immediate impact is just the playing experience and the excitement around the coaching staff itself.
Brady Oltmans with us here, HailVarsity.com and magazine. Brady, who stands out tomorrow? Offense, defense, position group. What are you excited for kickoff at 1?
I'm excited for the running back group, just focusing on offense first because it's just so stacked. I mean, any one of those guys could jump out. I know Gabe Irvin Jr. is very high on the list of favorites for this coaching staff. They really like his showing in spring ball right now. I think he can have a spring game to show that out. Clearly a talented wide receiver group. I'm curious to see how they kind of allocate targets among them and who stands out there. On defense, the name I hear a lot on the first team defense is Cameron Lenhart, you know, the early enrollee 4-star edge rusher from IMG Academy. He's gone up against Bryce Benhart a lot in practice. He's taken a lot of reps on that first team, along with Princewell, another early enrollee that's really getting a lot of edge time on that first team. Those are guys that really jump out to me right away. In the back end, you've got veteran heavy guys. You know what to expect out of a Quentin Newsome, Miles Farmer, you know, guys like that. But at linebacker, I'm kind of curious to see how like Chief Borders, MJ Sherman line up. You kind of have an idea of most of Nebraska's linebackers, but then those two step up, and then in the 3-3-5 and in Tony White's defense, that position group is going to look completely different. So I'm really curious to see what that's going to look like in an actual live competitive spring game.
Brady, real quick, bud, as we're winding down, just how folks can find your work, what folks can expect from Hail Varsity's coverage of the spring game tomorrow. I know HailVarsity.com, at Brady Oltmans on Twitter, but man, just the full court press or the press coverage, should I say, tomorrow from everyone at Hail Varsity.
Yeah, well, in addition to the website and us on Twitter, our Hail Varsity Twitter account will have plenty of content. We'll probably film some stuff for the YouTube channel. We'll have constant tweets, the whole team taking it all on board. And yeah, I mean, it's going to be great. Pretty much hours ahead of time till way after we're done.
Love it. Brady, take care. We'll see you tomorrow, bud.
We'll see you guys there.
If you're hiring, it can feel like you're trying to find a needle in a haystack. You can hope the right person comes along, or you can just use ZipRecruiter. And now you can try it for free at ZipRecruiter.com/radio. In fact, ZipRecruiter has helped a lot of business owners find their needle in a haystack, like Marco, president of operations at Telly Tires and Auto Centers. Because Telly Tires has grown a lot in the last few years, Marco needed to hire everyone from a receptionist to a store manager to a head mechanic.
ZipRecruiter helps me find all the right people, even the most difficult jobs to fill. ZipRecruiter helps me keep my business running.
Take it from Marco and millions of other businesses who've used ZipRecruiter. ZipRecruiter can help you find the needle in the haystack.
See why 4 out of 5 employers who post a job on ZipRecruiter get a quality candidate within the first day. And right now, you can try ZipRecruiter for free. That's right, free at ZipRecruiter.com/radio. That's ZipRecruiter.com/RADIO. ZipRecruiter.com/radio. ZipRecruiter, the smartest way to hire.
KFOR has a chance at some free money for Mom. It's $2,000.
I could use some extra cash.
To win, just sign up daily at KFORnow.com.
Property taxes rising. Crime skyrocketing. Mayor Baird failed Lincoln.
Taxes have raised dramatically.
My property taxes have increased $250 a year.
I can't even afford a new apartment now.
They had 11 homicides in Lincoln last year, which has never happened before.
Lincoln has a better choice. Suzanne Geist.
Senator Geist has made safety her priority.
Suzanne Geist will lower property taxes.
As mayor, I'll make Lincoln safer and more affordable for everyone.
Suzanne Geist for mayor. Paid for by Suzanne Geist for mayor.
The KFOR Cash Contest is a company-wide contest for your chance to win $1,000 daily. No purchase necessary to win. You will receive an email confirming entry. One winner will be chosen each weekday. Contest is open to U.S. residents 18 years or older. Alpha media stations, audience, or their parent, subsidiary, and affiliated entities, advertising agencies, promotional partners, members of families or households are not eligible to enter or win. Odds of winning depend on the numbers of entries received. Contest subject to all applicable federal, state, and local laws and regulations. Void where prohibited. Participants must sign contest release and waiver forms to be eligible to win. The contest begins on Monday, April 3rd and ends on Friday, April 21st, 2023. To participate, you must listen to the participating radio station at specified times and enter the word that wins at KFORnow.com. Contest sponsors not responsible for technical failures or malfunctions of any kind. Full contest rules at KFORnow.com. Decisions of station management with respect to the contest are final.
Coming up on a Monday on the Morning Hookup from 10 to 11, we'll look back and get our spring game reactions and yours as
well. And now, back to Hail Varsity Radio.
Big thanks to be out here, man. It is spring game eve. It is Hail Varsity Radio at the Hail Varsity Club. The Pipeline event is sold out. It is full. If you did not get a seat this time, be here for the next big event at Hail Varsity Club, hailvarsityclub.com. And it is awesome.
I've heard the cocktail classes out here are amazing. I haven't had the chance to make it to one. They're pretty exclusive, but you can get some pretty good cocktails and some pretty good recipes as well.
I am going to partake here in about 18 minutes, but who is counting? The incredible voice of Nebraska football, Kent Pavelka, has made his way here. Dr. Rob Zadiska, Brendan Stye, the Pipeline event, of course, celebrating the Pipeline 6 to 9 here. You have Joel Wilkes. Love seeing Joel again. It's been a while. And you have Aaron Graham, and he's just as good as it gets as well. And then Mr. College Football Hall of Famer Zach Wigert. They've all done some autographs here, which is great. The line out the door for this event, and it is sold out. It is streamed on Hurrdat Sports and the Hurrdat YouTube channel. So check that out if you did not get here. Let's talk some money, some gambling with the Pride of Chicago. VSiN Sports Network. Danny Burke is with us at Danny Burke 5 on Twitter. Pride of Chicago, you and Connor both had a slow, soul-sucking moment earlier with the Chicago Cubs. My friend, have you recovered?
Yeah, Jan Gomes forgot that we weren't playing football and that wasn't, a football helmet. It was just a catcher's mask on his head. But talk about just an absolute team. I mean, I didn't even think Drew Smiley would make it past the 5th inning, let alone have a perfect game going into the 8th. And then to only have the notification be sent out by ESPN and then immediately Jan Gomes levels him after was just, it was heartbreaking, yet probably the most appropriate way for that to come to a finish.
It was more than frustrating, I'm sure, but hey, you won 13-0, and I'm sure you cashed a check on it, so there it is.
Well, unless Danny had the Smiley to pitch a perfect game today, which would have been a crazy bet to make.
Yeah, I don't know. Is that a true real true offer when it comes to a futures? Can you bet a guy who's throwing a perfect game?
I've never seen that offered, so I highly doubt it. But we were saying before we got on here, the odds were probably 1,000,000,000 for Drew Smyly to throw that against the Dodgers. That would have been beyond remarkable. Even if he pitched a full game, like that would have been like beyond comprehensible for Drew Smyly based on his underlying metrics. But I guess we see crazier things each and every day, guys.
Well, Danny, I saw on Twitter this one guy who was trying to formulate the odds for Shohei Ohtani to both pitch a no-hitter and hit for the cycle in the same game.
That's incredible.
Well, the payout was going to be like, it was $1 to win like $100,000. And he said, well, if you put down a $1 every single time, maybe the odds would say that he'll eventually do it. Danny, your thoughts?
I don't know if I participate in that personally, but I guess if you're only throwing it every time you start, you only throw a buck. Yeah, maybe I do it every now and then. Maybe if they're going up against the Oakland A's, that's probably your best shot to get that.
You do it and you bet it, you win real estate in Estes. Okay, Danny, let's talk NBA. How are you feeling here about the Kings-Warriors series? What advice do you have?
Well, looking into this series, and I know we've talked about it before, but I'm just still not completely sold on Golden State. Maybe not to specifically say for this series, but in general in the playoffs. They've had red flags since before the year, from trying to recover from winning a championship, having an X on your back from that point, Draymond punching Jordan Poole, Draymond getting suspended in big playoff games like we saw when they blew that lead against LeBron. You have a team that is incompetent for some reason when playing away from your home court. Their road success is so minimal, it's actually appalling. And you saw that happen in the first two games against the Kings. Now, again, I'm not saying that the Kings are just going to run away with this series. Golden State will win every home game here. Can you at least get one at Sacramento? And if they can, then yes, they're going to win this series. But I'm still not ready to make that investment necessarily. I think this is a series you look to just bet on a game-to-game basis and kind of work your way from there. And when you get Golden State at home, I'm not looking to lay over 5 points with them, really. So, again, that's probably going to be a wait and see for an in-game number. Hopefully the Kings start out hot and then bet the Warriors. But on the road, man, it's even more difficult because, again, the Warriors still should be able to take care of business, but for whatever reason, they're just limited on the road. The Kings are going to play better having the home crowd momentum, but I don't know. Yeah, it's just kind of one of those things where you can only trust the Warriors at home at this point, fellas.
Well, and on top of that, too, the Sacramento home court advantage, just the atmosphere there has been absolutely unbelievable in the playoffs. Another playoff series that I want to go to is Phoenix Clippers, because that one, the Clippers are kind of, injury-ridden right now with Paul George waiting to get back in, now Kawhi Leonard missing a game. Who do you see coming out of that series? Because, one game, Phoenix looks really convincing, and then you flip the script to the next game, and, well, the Clippers look like they could go to the Western Conference Finals.
Yeah, it's really frustrating if you're backing the Clippers or if you're a Clippers fan, because, like you said, like we saw in Game 1, I mean, this Phoenix team certainly is vulnerable. I mean, they have no bench depth, and that's the price you have to pay for getting a guy like Kevin Durant over. Whereas the Clippers, a lot better bench. You get a great role player in Russell Westbrook, who was the key difference into winning that first game. Not offensively per se, but what he was doing on the boards and then what he was doing defensively on that last possession. So now that you have Kawhi, who was playing outstanding, injured, you already have Paul George out, there's just not enough star power and firepower for this Clippers team to keep up with the offense. But if you do want to look at Phoenix, again, we talk about in-game betting. I believe the Suns have trailed in every game so far. And you're going to get a better number with them because at some point they're going to get fatigued. Again, once they take their starters out heading into the second quarter, that's typically when the other team starts to do a little bit better just because they don't have any consistent scoring coming off the bench. So aside from looking from Phoenix just to win the series, going the game-to-game way, that's what I would do. Like, even if Kawhi's in, yeah, it changes things, and maybe you would actually have more infatuation with taking the points with the Clippers. But, yeah, I've got an investment on the Suns to win the West. I took it a week before they got KD at about plus 750. So, personally, I'm rooting for them. But the lack of bench depth certainly scares me. But if there's no Kawhi, there should be no problem for Phoenix.
Danny Burke is with us here. It's Burke's Best Bets, Hail Varsity Radio. And Danny, before we get you out, you're diving into boxing this weekend. You got Gervonta Davis going up against Ryan Garcia. I believe Davis is the favorite according to Vegas. Are you going to touch that at all?
I'm not going to touch it. To be honest, I couldn't care less about boxing just because it's such a crap sport at this point, and UFC is superior. But I do know Garcia, so hey, if I got to, hang my hat on something, I guess I'd go with him just because I've seen his videos from during quarantine and stuff, and he's got some quick hands, so that's my analysis on him.
Danny Burke with us. Find him on Twitter at DannyBurke5. Listen to him across the nation on VSiN weekends and the Danny Burke podcast. And he'll have some advice, but also some nuggets for you when it comes to your gaming choices, NHL, NBA, and we love talking college football and, of course, Major League Baseball with Danny Burke from VSiN Sports. Pride of Chicago, we appreciate you much, man. Enjoy your weekend, and we'll talk next week.
Yeah, you got it, guys. Enjoy your weekend as well. Take care.
There he is, Danny Burke with us from VSiN Sports Network. We'll wind down a Friday from the Hail Varsity Club with Hail Varsity Radio.
Hello, neighbor. That's what you hear when you walk into a Super C convenience store. Nebraska owned and ready to serve our neighbors. How's that ride looking? Bet it could use a wash. Clean all that dirt and road gunk off your vehicle with a soft touch car wash at Super C. Visit any of their 3 soft touch car wash locations. 70th and Pioneers, 34th and Old Cheney, or 27th and Ticonderoga, where you're going to save, get this, 10 cents off a gallon when you purchase a car wash. Now tell me you couldn't use that. Super C.
This is a special alert to all Americans who own a vehicle with less than 200,000 miles, with an auto warranty about to expire, or with no warranty coverage at all. Due to a decline in the economy, CarShield is announcing a low-cost, month-to-month vehicle protection plan that is now available to the public to save any driver out-of-pocket expenses on future auto repairs. Call now to find out how you can pay almost nothing for covered auto repairs. Yes, you heard that correctly. Pay almost nothing for covered auto repairs. An open phone line has been established for all drivers to call for a free quick quote. Call 800-627-3604. Drivers who are covered will not have to pay for covered repairs again. This protection plan is at an all-time low. Additionally, drivers who activate this vehicle protection today will also receive free roadside assistance, free towing, and car rental options at no additional cost. Call us for your free quick quote today. 800-627-3604. That's 800-627-3604. What do you have to lose? Call 800-627-3604. Again, 800-627-3604.
I'm Howard Mackler, founder of Innovation Refunds. You've heard me talking about the payroll tax refund for months. If you own a business, even if you've asked your CPA about this, you owe it to yourself to take another look. We provide a licensed and insured tax attorney who evaluates your company at my expense to determine eligibility. Businesses of all types can qualify, so go to getrefunds.com to potentially get a payroll tax refund of up to $26,000 per employee. Download the Innovation Refunds app or go to getrefunds.com, getrefunds.com.
As our mayor, Lyrian Gaylor Baird is working hard to make Lincoln an even better place to call home. Lyrian is adding more police officers every single year to keep our neighborhoods safe, investing over $200 million in roads to keep us moving, supporting small businesses, and expanding job training programs to boost our local economy. Mayor Lyrian Gaylor Baird is on the job for us, not Senator Suzanne Geist. In 2021, she voted in the legislature to give tax breaks to her wealthy corporate donors while supporting new taxes on essentials like groceries, medicine, and car repairs. The choice is clear. Lyrian Gaylor Baird is endorsed by Lincoln firefighters and community leaders we trust, like former police chief Tom Cassidy. Join them to vote for Lyrian Gaylor Baird for Lincoln Mayor.
I'm Mayor Lyrian Gaylor Baird. I'm asking for your
And now, back to Hail Varsity Radio.
One final time, a Friday on Spring Game Eve here at the Hail Varsity Club in front of the Pipeline event. Chris Schmidt, Elijah Herbel, Connor Clark. Many thanks to Danny Burke, Brady Oltmans, Bill Doleman, Jacob Padilla. The Pipeline is all here. Dr. Rob Zaniska being interviewed by Sasha from Hurrdat. If you did not get seats to this event, it is sold out. It's okay. I mean, not really okay, but it's okay. You'll be able to check it out on the Hurrdat channel, either YouTube or Twitter. But the league gold standard for Nebraska offensive line play that delivered a championship, they're going to be on stage that we're at right here. We will make way. They won't have to ask us twice or double team us. We'll just move off to the side and make it happen. Note for you, come see us tomorrow at the Single Barrel in Lincoln. The Single Barrel, 9th and P, is where we're at. 11-1, right in front of kickoff for the spring game. We're going to go around the room here. It's been decided by the pipeline. 44 ISO is what's called tomorrow by Satterfield as the first play. That's awesome. Secondly, who's your defensive or offensive MVP? Ooh. You make a pick. It is a spring game tomorrow. I will go first, and I'm going to keep with the hype. I think the guy that wows you most tomorrow, by the time you're throwing a cocktail and having a burger somewhere at the Single Barrel, maybe a steak, you're going to go, damn, Heinrich Harburg's really something pretty nice Nebraska has. I think the spring culminates for him, and I think he's your walk-away wow for tomorrow afternoon.
Okay, see, I was sitting here. I was doing some quick math in my head. I think Brody Belt's all out of eligibility, so I don't think he can be the pick because he's been a pretty popular guy over the last couple of seasons. I think your MVP, the guy everyone walks away with saying "wow," has to be an offensive player because obviously offense is sexier than defense for the most part, and I think that guy is the guy that
A.J. Rollins has 37 sacks tomorrow against one of those offensive tackles that have had a great spring.
That's true. That is very true, but where I'm going to go is a guy that Husker fans have loved for a long time. They've wanted to see him pop. Xavier Betts.
Okay,
I think
nice
Xavier Betts makes some catches tomorrow in the spring game. I don't think he's going to go light the world on fire with it, but I think Husker fans are going to like seeing him back, and I think there's going to be a lot of excitement around Betts offensively. If I do have to make a defensive pick, I'm going to go with the Southeast Knight. I think Isaac Gifford really flourishes in that nickel role.
Look at you, Homer. I love it. Isaac Gifford at the media, I think it was last night, and he's feeling good about how his spring has gone. Connor Clark, what say you?
I agree with your Heinrich Harburg pick. At least I hope that's who we're saying wow, because
either that or Sims blows everybody out of the water. Is like, okay.
Yeah, I mean,
right?
Either option is, it makes you feel better about the situation. Not that it's a bad situation right now, but if Harburg's able to go out there and show you what he can do with his legs along with what he can do with his arm, I mean, we all know he can throw the rock 60, 65 yards down the field. So if we can see not the full potential, obviously, because it's a spring game, but if we can see like 75% of what he can do in that dual threat capability quarterback position, I'll be very, very happy.
That'll work.
Do you have a defensive pick, Connor, or anyone that you want to see defensively? Maybe not an MVP pick.
I mean, I wouldn't mind seeing A.J. Rollins screw some things up in the backfield.
That's a popular pick, yeah.
Let me see Chief Borders or A.J. Sherman be beasts off the edge. That'll be good. Find the show, Spotify, iTunes, Google Play, Hail Varsity Radio, also the Hail Varsity YouTube channel, and give us a follow at Schmidt_radio, at Herbal Essence for Elijah Herbel, at C_Clark_27. We'll talk to you tomorrow at 11 from the Single Barrel with the spring game weekend edition with Hail Varsity. Take care.